WordPress environment is constantly changing and improving, so thankfully they've integrated a really simple way to update the software, plugins, and themes when that happens. Every 3 or 4 months, they'll fix bugs, add new capabilities, or streamline the dashboards and controls. Sometimes the upgrades will be really noticeable and new features will appear, but most of the time, it'll be more internal stuff, and it's important to keep up to date so that everything continues to work smoothly and securely. The smaller bug fixes and minor security updates will actually happen automatically, like when it goes from version 4.7.4 to 4.7.5. But when it upgrades by a full decimal point, from 4.7 to 4.8 for example, you'll have to do it yourself. When the main WordPress engine gets an update like that, sometimes your plugins and themes will also have to keep up with the changes, and that's why you always make sure those developers are staying on top of things before you choose them. The good news is that it's a one-click update procedure, and you'll be notified when it's time on your dashboard screen. This symbol will also appear in the top bar showing the number of things that need an upgrade, and you'll see an alert next to Updates in the dashboard menu under Home, and maybe next to the Plugins tab. Try to update as soon as you can after seeing the notification by clicking on Please Update Now or the Updates option to open that section. It's a good idea to always start with the plugins, so click Select All and then Update Plugins. When it's done, return to the WordPress Updates page and do the same thing for your themes by hitting Select All and then Update Themes. Now you can return to the Updates page one more time and click the Update Now button to upgrade the full WordPress installation. In the future though, it's a really good idea to always do a backup first before you update, just in case something goes wrong or becomes incompatible with the new version. You'll want to keep a backup of your site in a couple of different places. I have a folder on my music computer, laptop, and also on a USB stick just in case. Your WordPress database contains all of the raw content data that you added in the form of posts and pages, and your theme folder will contain all the custom design changes that you've made. Between the two of them, you can recreate your site even if it gets messed up really badly, or move the whole thing to another WordPress installation on another domain if you want. The more often you do backups, the better, especially while you're still learning. It'll also make you a lot more confident during these early experimental stages, knowing that even if you make big mistakes, you can always restore your work easily and never have to start again from scratch. Go on the assumption that you will eventually end up doing something that you don't know how to fix any other way than restoring your backup. When your site gets to some point that you're really proud of and it took a lot of work to get there, back it up. Think of this like a rock climber who hammers in anchor points as they get to each new plateau, so that even in the worst case scenario, they can only fall so far. First, let's back up the main database, so log into your cPanel. In the Files section, click on Backup. InMotion Hosting lets us download a full website backup that includes all of the folders, files, and email configurations, but some of the other web hosts will charge extra for this feature. Let's zero in on the MySQL database here that you named during the WordPress installation. All you need to do is left-click once and download that sql.gz file, then move it to a safe folder where you'll keep your backups. The section right beside it is for uploading that file so you can restore a MySQL database if something ever goes wrong. Just hit Browse, find the file, and then upload it. Now log out of cPanel and open up your FileZilla FTP tool so that we can also back up the theme options. Open the Site Manager, connect to your site, and get into the public HTML directory that has all of your folders. Open WP Content, and then the one that says Themes. You should see folders for the default WordPress themes and the one that you're using now. Just left-click that theme folder, hold down the button, and drag the whole thing to your desktop or the backup folder that already has the sql.gz file. It might take a while to copy, but when it's done, you'll have everything you need in there to reconstruct your site in case of an emergency. All you have to do is drag the backup folder into the same location and overwrite the one in there to restore your theme customization options. Another directory that you can back up is your Media Uploads folder, so click once on WP Content again here, and then drag the Uploads folder to your backup folder. This one might take a little longer because media files are bigger, and it's less likely that you'll ever need to restore this one, but it's not a bad idea to do it every once in a while. If you ever want to move your WordPress installation to another domain, you'll need to have a copy of this, but if you're just restoring backups because you broke your site design somehow, you won't need to worry about that one and can just focus on the database file, and in most cases, just the theme folder. It's less important and will take a lot longer if you have big audio files and lots of images, but you could even drag your entire public HTML folder to a safe place once in a while if your web host doesn't offer a free and more convenient way to do a full site backup. You should be obsessive about your backups early on, but later it'll depend on how often you're adding new content and making design changes. Maybe you'll even want to keep multiple backups of the different stages of your website and preserve them by date instead of keeping just the most recent one, in case you ever want to go more than one step back. You can also find some great plugins that will do automatic backups of your site. Another great reason to do lots of backups is that there seems to be a whole culture around trying to hack WordPress sites. A lot of the time, it's computer programs trying to guess your username and password so they can take over your site for whatever reason. That could range from inserting spyware to political activism like these Tunisian rebels that once took over discobreak.com. The best way to avoid these situations is to use a really strong password with uppercase, lowercase, and some strange characters that nobody could guess. This is another reason why the domain privacy option is strongly recommended. The more personal information they have, the easier it might be to crack your code with an automated program. If you didn't opt for that, at least make sure to create a difficult password to figure out. Bottom line though, if you're keeping up to date with your backups, restoring your site after an attack will only take a few minutes. Sometimes you'll make a page or post and decide to delete it. These deleted items will then be sent to the trash can in that section of WordPress. You can hover your mouse and click Restore on any of these to get them back, but if you're sure that you won't be needing something, it's better to remove it completely so that your database stays as small as possible for better website performance. Make sure to delete permanently and clear these out every once in a while. WordPress will also store your drafts and post revisions, which is a nice feature, but after a while those can add up too and slow you down. A great way to clean everything up is a plugin like WP Optimize that will delete all of that stuff for you and take some weight off your database. The same is true for your media library. If you've got images or MP3 files in there that you uploaded through the Add Media button in WordPress but aren't attached to specific posts or pages, get rid of them to save space and speed up your website. It's never a good idea to upload any videos with WordPress because they'll put too much of a strain on your resources. Always host them through a third-party service like YouTube or Vimeo instead. Never delete the current year's default theme, but extra plugins or other themes that are installed but not used can weigh down your website a lot and cause trouble. You probably experimented with a lot of different plugins, but when you've decided which will stay, deactivate and delete the ones you're not using. Of all the things that could cause weird, unexplained problems, plugins are the #1 culprit. After a big WordPress update, sometimes parts of your site will break down because the active plugins are no longer compatible. In that case, deactivate them one by one until you find which is causing the problem and they notify you of an update. You should try to update plugins before a WordPress update if possible. Maybe the new version will even include something you used to need a plugin for and that you can now delete. I used one that converted YouTube links into a player for a while, but that's now done automatically, so I was able to get rid of it. One of the best and simplest maintenance habits to get into is to just visit your website from as many browsers and devices as you can find. See how it looks on other screen sizes with different brightness and contrast settings and on various models of computer and phone. This will give you a much better idea of how your site really looks and where you might need to make adjustments. Every internet browser will also render things a bit differently, so checking it out on as many as possible will give you the true picture. Take a look on your friends' computers, phones, and tablets whenever you get the chance.